Well, I'm here to talk a little bit about tokenization, which is quite of a trend right now. I will try to explain why it's a trend and what we are working on at PROTOFIRE. My name is Diego Torres, but you can tell me Towers. That's the way most people know me. I've been working in PROTOFIRE for 3 years, and there's some media if you want to get in touch with me. First, I just wanted to talk a little bit about PROTOFIRE. PROTOFIRE is a company that has been working in the space for more than 6 years. As you can see, we've been working with a lot of networks. Of course, Polkadot is one of them, and a lot of protocols. So we have plenty of experience in basically DeFi and different tooling that is necessary for these protocols to work properly. But today I wanted to talk about tokenization, and I have a bold hypothesis, which is that basically anything that can be automated by a smart contract, and right now is charging high fees, will be disrupted. This is something similar to what happened with the incubators when the digital platforms came in the 2000s. But right now, the main point is the decentralized protocols that allow the tokenization, because decentralized protocols are many more efficient than the current system. So, but this trend is not just a standalone trend. It comes from the very beginning of the human society and the way we own things. We start with basically paper ledger and then move to databases. That happened 60, 70 years ago. And right now we are moving to decentralized protocol. So everything that we know right now is going to change and is going to be upgraded. But basically, what is tokenization? Most people know this definition. Tokenization is a process of digitally representing ownership. But a key point here is that the same as a smart contract, what is a smart contract? A smart contract is just code. It's code, but it's deployed on a decentralized platform, the centralized network. The same with tokenizations. We cannot tokenize and be centralized at the same time. Tokenization is only when you deploy tokens on a decentralized platform. That's a key. But what are the benefits? Why in the hell organizations should adopt this technology? Organizations don't want to adopt this. No one wants, apart from us, of course. But we need to give them a good incentive to change their mind and go through the hard process of adapting to new technologies. Here are some of the benefits that I see. First one, fast settlement. This is huge. I'm going to show you in a few minutes the math about this benefit, but it's a huge benefit. Then we have reduced counterparty risk. This is another big thing in a world that is getting creepy. We know that geopolitical instability will make this world more complex. So the less reliant on third parties, the better. So counterparty risk will be key for many countries. Then we have, of course, efficiency. Protocols are much efficient than legacy systems. If you compare a bank against a DeFi protocol, then how many employees? And compare them, several orders of magnitudes are different. Then we have increased liquidity. That's an issue right now with the fragmented liquidity and all of that, but we all know that we are going to solve that. And these protocols are global, so the liquidity will be global, and that's another great thing. Well, global is that's the other thing that is one of the main characteristics. And finally, the democratized access. With tokenization, we can create basically capital markets in developing countries, in small communities. We don't need to have complex legal systems as the New York Exchange has, and all the big places. We can do that with lesser bureaucracy, and that's thanks to this technology. So capital markets will be accessible soon to anyone. So settlement, let's do a little bit of math. Trillions of US dollars are exchanged in markets, stocks and bonds. And they take basically between 24 to 72 hours of a settlement period. That's quite a long time for us. Imagine you have to wait 24 hours for a transaction to be confirmed. We cannot tolerate that. But the problem is not that. The problem is that settlement periods require capital, working capital. And the longer the period, the bigger the capital that I need to allocate in order to produce these transactions. If we have as a base layer a 3% interest rate, and we calculate how much cost does it have this working capital, we can do the math and get more than $300 million per day per trillion of dollars of volume. This is idle capital that is waiting to be settled, basically. If we analyze this, we can come up with a huge number, $120 billion. And if we calculate the net present value, so we bring these values to the present, we can come up with $1.2 trillion. So there is a lot of value there that can be extracted by upgrading the legacy system. Larry Fink knows that. What do you think he's talking about tokenization all over the place? Because he has to finance this working capital. So for him, it's a holy grail, basically, to update the financial system. The other benefits have similar math with different aspects, but as you can see, there are incentives. Where are we at right now? Okay, we have quite mature in respect to tokenization, pure digital assets, fungible tokens, NFT. That's we cannot handle, even though it's early yet, but we handle this. But we are moving to real-world assets, which actually is real-world financial assets. That's the first phase. Then will come the real assets. But we are moving to this new concept, a token economy. We used to talk about the digital economy. You will start listening about the token economy, in which this technology will allow for overcome inefficiencies, and those has transaction costs that I was just mentioning. And of course, will bring transparency and productivity across all the industries involved. So, why Polkadot? Why now? Polkadot, my 5 whys. Of course, there are many more, but first, substrate framework. I'm not a developer, but I know that it's one of the best technologies to develop blockchain and decentralized protocols. Then we have the decentralized governance. Polkadot has one of the best state-of-the-art decentralized governance infrastructures. It's not the only one, but it's one of the best ones. Then we have scalability and security. When you talk about Polkadot, you think about this. There's a lot of room to improve here, but it's a reason. Then we have what Gavin Wood gave us, the famous forkless infrastructure that is key to upgrade this technology. And last but not least, we have the community. The Cardano community is a vibrant community, and even more in Latin America, as I was hearing in other talks. Well, why now? Well, basically, institutional adoption has come. After the spot ETF approval, we finally have the green line for institutional adoption. Finally, the SEC bent the knee and accepted cryptocurrencies as a new asset class. Second, we have fractional ownership. Similar to what securitization, which was something, a technology upgrade in the traditional finance that create a lot of value, fractional ownership will do the same. We lower the barrier of entries so low that everyone would be able to buy a penthouse in New York. Then we have global landscape and liquidity enhancement. These two compounded with fractional, that's huge. And then we have one thing that I think is not being talked too much, but is regulatory enforcement of tokenization. This means that regulators don't realize that smart contracts will allow that the regulation will be on the smart contract. So they won't need this huge legal system to enforce the law. The law will be on the smart contract. This will happen. Of course, without some drama first, but it will happen. And finally, if we look far beyond, we can see that AI agents and Internet of Things will make this, of course, much, much bigger. So at PROTOFIRE, we created the Contract Wizard a year ago. This is a tool for making it easy for developers to interact with the Ink framework. You can have a couple of standards that you can just deploy without code, or you can deploy your contract, your custom contract. You can share a link and share access to the contract to another user. There are some cool features here, but this is for developers mainly. So we need to move to entrepreneurs. From Contract Wizard to Token Wizard, in which you could be able to create different tokens. Of course, the basics, fungibles, non-fungibles. But then go to real-world assets, real service assets, contractual tokens, voting power. Well, there's a lot of use cases here. And we can create an interface in which you can create, mint, and allocate the token without writing a line of code. To do that, we have a small roadmap for the coming steps. First, integrate this UI with the Asset Hub that Polkadot already have. Then add functionalities to produce sales and distribution of the tokens with certain business rules. And finally, start working on the real-world asset infrastructure. I mean, the business logic that is needed to be able to produce more complex tokens. We have to speed up because we are not only here. Our competition is working on this. For example, token extension on Solana or token scripts. These technologies are adding business logic to smart contract in a way that is pretty scalable. So we need to move fast. Well, that's all. And thank you. If you want to talk to me, you can scan this QR. And well, I hope you enjoy this talk.